All right, today we're going to dig into a solution for one of the absolute biggest headaches in AI and, honestly, in most big companies: corporate amnesia. How do we build AI systems that aren't just smart, but are actually wise, with a memory they can really, truly trust?
So let's kick things off with the core problem. And it's something I bet a lot of you have felt. It's this feeling of being completely swamped with data, but at the same time, you're starved for actual useful knowledge.
This quote it hits the nail on the head, right? We are drowning in information. We've got endless files, databases, chat logs, you name it. But the real game is finding that coherent, trusted knowledge you can actually use again and again. It's all about turning that messy ocean of data into a clear, reliable stream of insight. And all that chaos? Well, it shows up in some pretty classic ways. You see duplicated effort, right? Where two different teams spend a month researching the exact same thing. You get totally inconsistent answers from your AI. And maybe worst of all, you get what's called opaque automation. These systems that are making decisions that nobody can actually explain. It's slow, it's risky, and frankly, it's just super frustrating. Okay, so that is the mess we're in. The big question is, how do we fix it? How do we climb out of that chaotic data swamp and get to a reliable source of truth that our AI can actually depend on? Well, the idea we're exploring is something called a knowledge mesh. So the knowledge mesh, the best way to think about it is like a dedicated memory for your entire organization's brain. It's this foundational layer that's designed to take all that scattered data and turn it into a durable, compounding asset. Okay, so that sounds great in theory, but how does this thing actually work? I mean, how do you build a trusted memory? Because it's not just about getting a bigger database. It's a pretty clever system, and it's built on a few really key principles. First up, and this part is absolutely critical, there's a gatekeeper. Literally, think of it like a super strict bouncer at a club, but for your data. Before any information can even get in the door, this gatekeeper checks it for quality, for relevance, for compliance. Is it licensed right? Is it on topic? Is this a duplicate of something we already have? If the answer is no, it's not getting in. Simple as that. Now, once some data makes it past the bouncer, it doesn't just get thrown into the mix. No, it has to go through a life cycle. Facts start out as provisional. Then they get reviewed, and yeah, sometimes by a human expert. And only after they're verified do they get promoted to approved status. That's when they become part of the official company knowledge. And here is where it gets really, really cool. Every single one of those facts keeps what's called its provenance. You can think of this as a perfect, unbreakable trail of breadcrumbs. You can see exactly what document a fact came from, who reviewed it, when they reviewed it, the whole story. It gives you total explainability. So if we put that all together, the whole flow looks something like this. Raw data shows up, and it's got to get past that gatekeeper. If it makes the cut, facts are extracted and cleaned up. Then, those facts go through that whole verification lifecycle. And only once they're approved does that trusted knowledge get published and made available for everyone to use. And once that knowledge is out there, you can talk to it in some really powerful ways. You could use a graph query to see how things are connected, maybe uncover a hidden relationship. You could use a simple search to find a specific fact, with a perfect citation. Or you could use cubes to analyze trends over time, like tracking how many new facts are being approved each week. It's like a Swiss Army knife for your company's knowledge. Okay, I know what some of you are probably thinking right now. Hey, this sounds a lot like RAG, right? Retrieval Augmented Generation. And you're not wrong to think that, but there's a really, really important difference here. So look, a RAG-only system is fantastic for grabbing chunks of text to answer a question on the fly, but it's not a true knowledge system. A knowledge mesh is a whole different beast. It has that gatekeeper for governance built right in. It's got a formal life cycle to actually approve facts. It's got that perfect auditable provenance we talked about. And this is huge. It's designed to handle contradictions, not just ignore them. So to put it simply, RAG is a really useful tool, but the knowledge mesh, that's the whole workshop. So, this all sounds pretty sophisticated, right? But it brings us to the most important question of all. So what? Why go to all this trouble to build a trusted memory? What's the actual payoff for a business? While the outcomes tie directly back to all those problems we talked about at the beginning. You get trust and you get compliance, because every single answer is grounded in a source with a clear audit trail. That gives you incredible speed and way better cost control, because your teams and your AI agents can reuse knowledge instead of starting from scratch every single time. But honestly, the most important outcome is continuity. The knowledge base actually gets smarter and more valuable over time. It compounds. Because at the end of the day, the real goal here is to switch from being an organization that's just busy to one that's actively compounding its knowledge. Every piece of work, every fact that gets checked, every insight gained, it all becomes a permanent asset. Yesterday's discovery automatically makes tomorrow's work that much faster and smarter. And that really just leaves us with one last question to chew on. A question for you to think about in your own world. Take a hard look at your own company's systems. Is the knowledge you're creating building on itself, growing in value every single day? Or is it slowly getting lost in a sea of disconnected files and forgotten research? In other words, is it compounding or is it decaying?